Hello, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well and you are working on your group assignment. In this video, I'm going to show you how to estimate a regression model and how to create a dummy variable for your written group assignment. And hope this discussion will help you. So first of all, I will briefly explain the models that you need to estimate. Then I will put up an Excel spreadsheet to show how you estimate a regression. So first of all is your assignment document. So you see that to understand the risk exposure of the commercial banks, you need to estimate this model, this regression model, where you have stock return in the left-hand side, and in the right-hand side, you have three explanatory variables, which is market return, interest rate changes, and exchange rate changes. So the main idea of this model is that the individual stock returns are explained by these three risk factors. Okay, that means if market risk increases or interest rate increases or exchange rate increases, how individual stock returns respond positively or negatively. You also need to estimate some additional model where you have a dummy variable to reflect the effect of global financial crisis and the COVID-19 crisis. So these are additional explanatory variables that might affect the individual stock return. Okay, so these are the models you need to estimate. And in a separate video, I have already explained that how you download data from FactSet and other sources. So I assume that you already have the data ready to estimate these models. So I'm now sharing an Excel spreadsheet with a data sample. Okay, so once you download data from FactSet and the other sources I have explained, your data should look like this. For example, individual stock price data like Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank, or whatever the other companies you have. You will have overall stock exchange values. You have exchange rates, and you also have bond yield data. Okay. Now, one thing you need to understand that before you estimate the models, you need to calculate returns because they are in the price form. So for example, for a stock price to calculate return, it should be today's price minus yesterday's price divided by yesterday's price. So for example, let's say equal today's price minus yesterday's price divided by yesterday's price. So this is how you calculate stock return. Similarly, you should calculate return of other individual stock as well as your market index. Okay, so you get individual stock return and market returns. About the exchange rates, you can use the same formula here, that today's rate minus yesterday's is divided by yesterday's rate, or you can simply use today's rate minus yesterday's rate. That's also fine. And in bond yield, they are already in percentage, so it should be today's rate minus yesterday's rate, or this month's rates minus previous month's rate. So in this way, you calculate the returns. And once you calculate the returns, they will look like this. You see that they are in the return format. Okay. And finally, I have taken the data for just one bank, for example, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. So this is your left-hand side variable, and these three are your right-hand side variable. Okay. Now, to estimate the model, you need to get to data and data analysis. Okay. If data analysis tab is not here, you should go to File, Options, Add-ins, Excel add-ins, Go, and OK. Sorry. File, options, headings, go, and you need to tick this box, this analysis toolpath, okay? And this data analysis tab will appear here, okay? Now click data analysis, and what we are going to do, we are going to estimate a regression model. So we click regression. Y variable is your left-hand side variable or your dependent variable. So we select CBA, okay? And X variables are your independent variables, which are these three, okay? You should select from the top to the bottom, okay? Then you have labels because we have the column title at the top, and we just click OK. And you have these regression results now, okay? Now I will explain these results soon, but before that, let me quickly show you another point, which is a dummy variable. Let's say you want to calculate or you want to create a GFC dummy. And once again, what is the purpose of creating this dummy? To see that if this crisis had any impact on the stock returns in addition to the risk factors that we talked about earlier. Now, to create this dummy variable, keep it in mind that this is an indicator variable. So it should take a value of 1 if a particular month, for example, in the left-hand side, these are the dates, the months. If a particular month corresponds to the global financial crisis, then it will take a value of 1. Otherwise, it will be 0. So I'm putting 0, first of all, for all the cells. And then I will change them to 1 for global financial crisis. Let's say that global financial crisis, it starts from January 2007. Okay, this is just for an example. And it continued up to, let's say, the end of 2008. Okay, so you can see now that it's a dummy variable. It just have ones for the months correspond to the global financial crisis and 0 otherwise, okay? And you need to estimate the regression model again in the same way. Dependent variable is the same, just independent variable. Previously, it was up to column E because we had up to bond yield. Now we just have 1 additional variable, so it's up to column F, and we get this, the regression results, okay? Now let's come back to our previous result. So first of all, the value you should be explaining is R squared. So R squared is the proportion of the variation that are explained by the independent variables we have included in our models. So in the left-hand side, we have individual stock returns, and you can see that our R squared is 51.51. So it's a 51%, which means that 51% variation of the individual stock returns are explained by the stock returns by the risk variables that we have included. Then you also need to look at this number, okay? You can see that this is a significance level. If a statistic is 74 and it is less than 0.05, which is important to understand, 0.05. Okay, so if this value is less than 0.05, it means that this is statistically significant, which means that our model is a good model. That means a significant portion of the variation of the independent variable in the left-hand side is explained by the, dependent variable in the left-hand side is explained by the independent variables in the right-hand side, okay? And then you should look at these coefficients and also these p-values, okay? Now, a couple of things you need to look at. First of all is this coefficient and their sign. So if the sign of this coefficient is positive, it means that it will positively affect the stock returns. If the sign is negative, which means that it will negatively affect the stock return. So negatively affect means that if this one increases, the stock return will decrease. Positively means if it increases, stock return will also increase. Okay. And you also need to look at p-value, because that shows you whether these T statistics are statistically significant. And once again, you need to look at if they are less than 0.05. Okay, and you can see that only one that is less than 0.05 is this one, which means that out of the three variables we are considering, only variable that is significantly affecting individual stock return is the market return or market risk. Okay, other variable, they are greater than 0.05, which means that exchange rate risk and interest rate risk are not affecting individual stock returns. Okay, so only significant risk variable is the market risk. In the other result, where we had an additional variable, which is GFC, and once again, if we look at the p-values, you will still see that the only variable that is significant is the market risk variable. And the GFC coefficient is also statistically insignificant, which means that GFC didn't have any impact on the individual stock return of the financial institutions. Okay. So briefly, that's what I wanted to explain in this video: the model, the variables, how to estimate the regression results, and how to explain the results. Okay, so together these two videos will help you preparing your group assignment. But if you have any question or any concern at any point in time, don't hesitate to contact me. Okay, thank you very much.